Welcome to Relish Books. So, normally I do not copy other people's videos. Sometimes I get reading inspiration from other booktubers. That's what I like to watch their videos for the most part. But I thought it would be fun. I saw several other people doing like 30 before 30 and 50 before 50, etc. type videos, and I just thought that was a fun idea, and so I'm gonna do one. I am in my mid 20s, let's say, so I have about 5 years to work on this list, which is good because I mostly chose pretty pretty heavy stuff. I definitely was leaning towards, as always with my channel, was leaning towards classics. I don't really have anything at all new on this list, but I have a while to work on it. Some of these I'm planning to get to pretty soon. Some of them I might not get to for a long time, but let's get into it. So for the first three, there's like three sections of same author and then a bunch of singles. So the first three on the list are Russian classics that I have been intending to get to. So number one on my list, The Brothers Karamazov by Fyodor Dostoevsky. I was hoping to get to that actually this year, or probably be more like next year, but I do want to read that one pretty soon. Fathers and Sons by Ivan Turgenev. If I'm saying that right, I'm probably going to say a lot of these authors' names wrong. I will look up the proper way to say them when I actually go to make videos about their books. But, and then The Three Musketeers by Alexander Dumas, which I'm still hoping to start at least by the end of this year. I had tried to order it. I got the wrong one. I've tried to check it out at the library. It's been checked out, so we'll see. It's a long one. So those are the first three by Russian authors. The next three are the final three full-length Dickens novels that I still have to read. I've tried to read at least one Dickens novel a year, and I only have 3 left before I will have read all of his completed novels. And those 3 are Little Dorrit, Martin Chuzzlewit, and Barnaby Rudge. I'm probably going to read Martin Chuzzlewit this next year, and then I'll decide whether I want to. I'll probably split those across 3 years since that's kind of what I've been doing anyway, and I have time. So those 3 were Dickens. The next large group are a bunch of, I think there's like 7 Daphne du Maurier, because I'm working on reading all, I think, 19 of her novels. I've read like 5 at this point, so working on completing all of her novels. So this is just a chunk of them. Frenchman's Creek, The Loving Spirit, Julius, The King's General, Castle Door, The Flight of the Falcon, I'll Never Be Young Again, and Mary Ann. So those are all Daphne du Maurier books that I'm going to read. Then the whole rest of the list are all different authors, but they are all fiction, and they are all I believe they're all classics. I don't think I really did anything too crazy here. They're all well-known classics that I've been meaning to get to, but are maybe difficult for some reason or other, that I really need a motivation to read. Some of these I'm actually genuinely afraid to read, so I will need to give myself lots of motivation when the time comes. But first one on my singles list, Madame Bovary by Gustave Flaubert. This is a novel whose whole premise is a woman having affairs while being married. That's the whole premise of it. Doesn't sound like something I would want to read, but I'm curious about it because of its influence, because of its fame. I want to know what's going on. I want to know why it has the fame and the influence that it does. If it's just awful, I can quit reading it. I'm not making a definite commitment to finish all of these titles, but at least to start them and give them a chance. Next on the list, Watership Down by Richard Adams. I have known of this book since my early childhood. I remember seeing it on the shelf. I never wanted to read it because I'm not super into animal stories. I don't know. As a kid, I enjoyed some of them. Obviously, there are really great children's books with animal characters. Even children's books that I think are great for adults. Winnie the Pooh, The Wind and the Willows are some of the best books ever written. But I don't know. As an adult, I just don't feel a draw to read animal stories at all. So that's why I haven't got to that one before. But I've heard a lot of people talk about it, say it's amazing. So I want to give it a try. Dune by Frank Herbert. Very famous, very intriguing to me why people love it, why they would say it's like one of their all-time favorite books. I've heard several booktubers talk very highly of it, so it just makes me curious. This next one is one that I'm afraid of because it's so big. I like big books, but not, I don't know. Some are definitely easier than others for sure. And that is Vanity Fair by William Makepeace Thackeray. I feel like this is something that I just need to read, but I'm afraid. Clarissa by Samuel Richardson. I'm even more afraid of this one. I kind of put this on my list before I realized how long it was. It is massive. But I want to read it, so I'm going to try. The Portrait of a Lady by Henry James. I just read The Turn of the Screw by Henry James. Did not like it very much, so I'm curious to read something longer of his, and this is like his other most famous work. Captain Corelli's Mandolin by Louis de Berniers. I'm probably not saying his name right either. Don't really know anything about that book other than I've heard the name a lot and I want to try it out. Three Men in a Boat by Jerome K. Jerome. I'm really excited about this one. I want to read it soon. It sounds just really fun and funny and one of the more, possibly the most lighthearted thing on this list. So maybe I should save it for later, but I do really want to read it. Ulysses by James Joyce. I don't believe I've ever read anything by James Joyce. I was trying to think if I had. It seems, obviously I know his name so well, I know the titles of his books so well, but I don't think I've actually ever read anything of his. And that one I might get to soon. I actually checked it out today, so might get to that one here shortly. If on a Winter's Night, a Traveler. This is a book I've been curious about for a long time. It's by Ilo Calvino, if I'm saying his name right. I have read bits of this book, which I feel like the whole book is bits of a book. I've read bits of this, I've been curious about it, so want to read it. How Green Was My Valley. I've talked about that book before a little bit. The title, how beautiful and poignant that title is. The library here does not have it. They have the sequels, but not the first one, as far as I can tell. So I'm going to have to order that, but I want to read that soon. Hunchback of Notre Dame. I don't want to read this book. I know it's a classic, and Les Miserables is one of my favorite books of all time by the same author, but I've always heard how dark and depressing and horrible The Hunchback of Notre Dame is. Nothing like the movie. Obviously, I'm pretty sure everybody watching this would probably know this, but, Victor Hugo famously wrote The Hunchback of Notre Dame, which is very, very dark. It's a very despairing kind of look at the depravity of humanity, to my understanding. I haven't read it. This very dark, cynical book. And then he converted to, I want to say Catholicism, some kind of religion, and wrote Les Miserables. So just a complete turnaround in the messages of his books. While Hunchback of Notre Dame is extremely dark, Les Miserables is all about redemption from the dark, so to speak. So I don't really want to read the book that came before his turning to a brighter way of looking at life, but it is a massive classic, and I probably should read it. So that's on there. The House of Seven Gables by Nathaniel Hawthorne. Never really felt like reading this. I meant to over the years. I really like Scarlet Letter, which is by the same author. So hopefully I will like it. I don't think it's that long either. Buddenbrooks by Thomas Mann. I kind of randomly put this on here. I do not know if I will like it at all. I've really wanted to read a book by Thomas Mann for a long time. I almost think I tried The Magic Mountain at one point, just like the very beginning. I don't remember what made me stop though, so I don't know. I'll give that one a try. This one, I hope it doesn't sound like I'm just dreading all of the ones on this list. I did make this, giving myself 5 years. I did put books on this list that I have been putting off and not wanting to read right away. So this kind of is a list of some of my dreaded classics. I really don't want to read this one because I am not a William Faulkner fan. Only book I've read of his was As I Lay Dying, and I hated it so much that I never wanted to read another William Faulkner, but I feel like I need to. So, The Sound and the Fury. This is so well known. I want to give him another try and read this. Finally, a book by an author who I love very much but haven't read a ton of her work. That is To the Lighthouse by Virginia Woolf. So, Mrs. Dalloway is one of my all-time favorite books. I admire that book, the style and the writing, more than so many others. It is in my top 10 possibly. I love that book. I love her style, but I haven't really read that much of her work. So, those are my 30 books to read within the next 5 years and a little bit. So yeah, thanks so much for watching. Let me know which ones of these you've read, which ones you think I will like, what books are on your lists, and thanks so much for watching. I will see you next time. Bye.